Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. Very pleased to have Prudence Zhu. Am I saying that correctly? Zhu?
Yeah, it's perfect.
I believe it's short for a longer name. Is that right?
No, it's actually my English name, but everybody calls me Prudence here in the US.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Or anywhere outside China, basically.
All right. Well, thank you. Prudence has transitioned from significant roles in private equity and corporate finance to founding Baoba USA and Enzo Financial, fee-only advisory firms dedicated to providing transparent tax and financial advice to mid-career professionals and business owners. She earned her MBA from the University of Notre Dame in 2014 and completed her Master's in Innovation and Venture Development from ASU in 2022. As a champion of financial literacy, Prudence has shared her expertise as an instructor at ASU, certified CPA and PFS, that's Chartered Public Accountant and Personal Financial
Specialist.
All right. Her mission is to empower clients with the knowledge and tools necessary for a successful financial journey. Prudence resides in Arizona here, which is beautiful. And well, it's September right now while we're recording this, so it's still kind of hot, but it's about to be super awesome again.
Yeah.
Here with her family, and extends her commitment to financial education through her YouTube channel, Invest with Prudence. Welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me real quick a little bit about your YouTube show and how that's evolved.
Yeah, so I started back in 2022, and originally it was the hope of extending my expertise and knowledge to more client or more audience, because as you can tell, like financial planning as an industry typically works with the high net worth, which is only like less than 10% of the population. And I want to help more people. So that's why I started the show.
Okay, excellent. So can you give us a quick snapshot of your business right now, what you do, what your company does?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, most of my energy is put into Enzo Financial. It's a fee-only financial planning company. And we are very proud to be part of Garrett Planning Network. That is a hourly accessible financial planning network for serving the nation for almost 30 years. Yeah.
Okay. So is that like a broker dealer that you can offer things through? No.
Yeah. So when you hear fee only, that means we don't sell products. We don't get commission for any recommendation that we make. The only source of our income is whatever our clients pay us. And we are not charged like many other financial advisors on AUM, meaning asset under management. We are charged on an hourly basis. So basically, it's the work and the expertise we put in helping each client.
Okay. There's a lot of perks to that, not the least of which, this is then an RIA, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you have the freedom to more options anyway. You're not restricted as much in what you
absolutely
can provide.
Yeah. Absolutely, because a lot of times when you work with a big broker dealer, the people or the financial advisor that you client can access are actually salespeople that has a mission to hit their sales quota and get their bonuses, right? And they're very limited to the products and solutions that's available on their platform. So the things typically like real estate, which you are very interested in, is not part of their offering. Or, tax advice are typically not part of their offering because they are like very lean on their operations. And unfortunately to customers and fortunately to them, it has been productive and lucrative, insanely lucrative so far.
Sure. They're very protective of that industry because of that. And that's kind of partially what got me into where I am now is when I realized, following their traditional advice, how unimpressive my returns were and my portfolio was not performing. So I had to educate myself and branch out into other things.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do see hope for the industry because there are people like me who offer fee only, and there are incredibly people like incredibly experienced and passionate people in Garrett that helps mostly people who have never hired a financial planner. So I see that getting more popular among the consumers, and I see that that's the way it's going to be.
Okay. And Prudence, I'd like to point out here that you don't just offer a financial service for somebody's financial well-being. You have a bigger view for your services. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So when we're talking about financial services as an industry, I look at it as like a pyramid structure. At the bottom, you would have all the salespeople, broker dealers, and insurance and all that. Layer up, I would say it's like the asset management companies that you typically say like underperforming, overcharging. But as you go further up, you will see that the fiduciary responsibility is becoming more important, and also the offering is becoming more comprehensive and there's more need for expertise. So the next layer up is comprehensive financial planning. And typically you would see a CFP designation, certified financial planning designation. However, the designation doesn't mean fee only, because a lot of broker dealers see the market need financial planning, so they pull CFPs in.
They double dip, if you will.
Sorry, what was that?
I said they double dip, if you will. They're here, but then they're also here, but it's a conflict of interest, in my understanding.
You're right on. So the next layer up is what I'm very passionate about, is life planning. Because at the end of the day, financial planning can provide, financial well-being and build a good financial foundation. But if we don't know how to utilize that foundation to achieve our most important life goals, that doesn't help us at all. And for me as a financial planner, if my work does not have an impact on the client's life, only on the balance sheet, then I don't feel fulfilled. So that's why I've been on this path about life planning, and I'm committed to it.
Excellent.
Let me give you a very easy example.
Please. Thank you.
A client came in asking, do we have $300,000 US to buy a house in Peru? So if she went to a traditional portfolio manager, the manager was like, oh, okay, yeah, let me know when you need the money and we will distribute it, right? If she went to a comprehensive financial planner, the planner would say, oh, okay, so if you did that, here's the impact on your other financial planning goals, such as retirement, kids' education, your lifestyle, etc., etc. So not only the answer would be not just a yes or no, it's more about, what's the implication.
Sure.
But if that client came to me, a life planner, I would say, what does that house mean to you? It's a real case. And the conversation actually led to, oh, it actually doesn't mean that she wanted a house as an asset. What she really wanted was one more trip every year back to Peru to see her extended family, and having the additional time so that her kids can bond with their extended family and build a lifetime of, friendship with their cousins. However, the husband has always been very diligent with money, and they've already, going back every Christmas. So it's really hard for the wife to communicate to the husband saying, okay, how about we spend another $10,000 every year to go one additional trip? Because in the husband's opinion, it's like, what's the incremental utility of that $10,000?
Sure.
We could do so much more, with that same amount of money. So what I did was putting their need into their financial plan. And it turned out not only the $10,000 per year doesn't have a huge impact to their lifetime financial plan, but also the other desires of the husband, which is spending more time with kids and outsource some of the housework, can also be fulfilled. without impact on their financial plan. How wonderful is that?
Right.
So now they just told me they just booked a trip in November to go back to Peru. And given what they were, how they were like 6 months ago before working with me, they would never imagine that.
Okay.
So here's the trick, right? 300,000 investment in a house that requires property and maintenance and additional
other costs associated.
Exactly. And not to mention energy, versus put it in a aligned portfolio that generates return for them that can more than cover their trip to Peru for a lifetime. So
they can do multiple trips to Peru with that 300,000 invested elsewhere to finance their
absolutely.
goals.
Absolutely. And the more beautiful thing is that now they are communicating about their desires and values, and they are liberated from the numbers and really focus on what they want to achieve in their lifetime.
Sure. So in the bigger picture of figuring out what they want, relationships, right? Family. So it's called the wheel of life, right? The different aspects of life that you need to consider, right? Do you remember what I'm talking? I don't remember where that comes from.
Yes, there are different approach to life planning, and even I think big universities like Harvard and Stanford, they're teaching life design, and there are popular bestsellers out there. We're actually approaching the same goal with different methods. Life planning has only one purpose: is to invigorate the client.
Okay. So well, let me ask you this. So if somebody's wants to learn more about that, what sort of tips would you give them, or what do you suggest they do?
Yeah, so it goes both ways, right? If you are approaching it from you want a financial plan for yourself, then there are multiple books that you can read. And so George Kinder, the father of life planning, wrote multiple books, and the best one is I'm saying best one that's relevant to doing life planning for yourself is this one, Life Planning for You. And it was actually published almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
If you are thinking about going into financial planning or offering financial life planning to other people, then there's a training by the Kinder Institute, which was also founded by George Kinder. And they've trained 3,000 professionals to become a registered life planner, RLP, to offer the services to other clients.
Okay. Excellent. Well, it sounds like things are going really well for you and your business. A lot of people are looking, towards the future and trying to figure out how they can free up their time, generate some passive income or something to replace theirs. You've been able to achieve this, I believe. And can you speak to that, and what's your sort of your thoughts on that in general for other people, as well as your own experience?
Yeah, absolutely. You would love my story. So I came to the US with nothing, basically. And the first 2 years was MBA education, right? And then I re-entered the workforce in 2014 in corporate finance. So like a good paid job, well-paid job, but not like private equity or investment banking or medical. It was like a low six-figure salary, and I saved about 40%.
Nice.
Ever since I started, ever since I was in corporate. And in 2016, we bought a house in Chicago, and it was kind of like a house hack because it was a multifamily. We lived on the first floor, rented out the second. And our cost on mortgage was basically net of the rental income was basically $1,000 per month on the prime location of Wicker Park in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. And we kept saving 40%, investing 100% in equity. This is not financial advice. This is just me sharing what I did, right?
Sure.
It may or may not fit for everybody. And it will have to change down the road based on my need, right? Life changes. So fast forward to 2020, if you remember what happened that year, in March, So if you're thinking about COVID, actually, let's dial back a little bit. So in March, we decided to move down to Phoenix because my husband got a job here.
Okay.
And we were on the market to buy another house. So we bought one, and then COVID happened. But we were so glad because that house, the 20% down payment that we paid, quadrupled by the end of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, in that single year of 2021, beginning of the year, our net worth was only half of what we ended up by the end of that year.
You had a lot of your personal funds in the equity of the property that.
Absolutely. That, and also, if you remember, the stock market was dipping in 2020, but then went up again significantly in 2021. I'm just saying, like, that's the moment where I realized, oh, okay, I have enough. Like, what is there? What is more to life that I really want to achieve? And that's when I started going down this path of, figuring out what I really want and how I want to live the rest of my life and how I want my career to be.
Right. That's a beautiful thing when you can reflect on where you're at and how you got there, but also be more intentional about where you're going, right? And plan things out properly.
Yeah. As I put it, like, everybody should be an entrepreneur, and their most important business is their life.
I like it. Yes. Take responsibility for it and actively shape it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the next year, for example, for your business or for your life?
Yeah, great plans. So now I see that myself really honing in on the power and the skill of life planning, and I see that has big impact on my business. I started to get more respectful clients, people who are willing to pay for my service, and people who really appreciate my impact on their lives, people who can really deeply connect with me on a personal level, which is where I get my fulfillment. And also, I see there's a demand for life planning because I started to offer workshops among other YouTubers communities on life planning, and everybody was like giving me overwhelming feedback on how much they learned from those sessions. So this year I'm writing a book, and I'll launch it next year in April. So on one hand, I'm continue to serve my clients and accepting new clients. On the other hand, I'm still, not giving up on the people who are not my clients, because they also need help. If anything, they need more help.
Right. Yes. Okay. Excellent. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add today before we wrap things up?
Do you have any more questions for me, or like, how's your first impression about life planning?
Well, I've been sort of personally going through the past 5-6 years, a few different sort of personal development programs and other things which touch on various aspects of this, right? Your health, your relationships, and all that. And so that's why I was referring back to the life wheel, right? And trying to figure out which things to focus on. And even I do this sort of annually or semi-annually, right? Try to figure out where things are going, and being more intentional has been had a huge impact anyway on my life, my family's life, and everything. So I'm a big fan. I'm very excited for what you're doing. I think it's great. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you wish you would have known earlier in your career about wealth and success.
Yeah, I really wish that I didn't set a financial independence or a financial goal for myself in order to live my best life. In other words, I didn't have to wait till 2021 to be on this journey. I could have done it years back. And I really think that if you are stuck in life, or if you are, if reality is falling behind your expectations, definitely it's worth it to find a trustworthy professional to give you additional guidance and perspective.
Sure. Well, from that point of view, That's something I've appreciated more and more as I've as I've gotten older is and more successful, and you're hanging out with more and more successful people, you realize the more successful they are, the more coaches they have.
Absolutely.
And it's not intuitive. Maybe for some people, it wasn't for me. That, like Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, you'd think, oh, he's so good, he doesn't need a coach anymore. Why does he have the most coaches, right? And it's because he has the head coach, the quarterback coach, his fitness coach, his diet coach, all this, all sorts of things that he's always constantly trying to be better at. And they more than pay for themselves, each one of them, by how much more they help their client excel. There's a little bit of similarity here with like the FIRE movement in my mind of trying to help people, which, by the way, for our viewers or listeners, is the financial independence, retire early movement. And there's all sorts of different versions of that. Can you speak a little bit to that and how that may relate to your services?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in the community, the FIRE community, a lot. In the mainstream, everybody was saying, like, criticizing basically on the FIRE, because a lot of the books you read, people are saving more than half of their income. That's very extreme. And a lot of times they are in a mindset of, okay, I just need to stick it through this few years. Usually it's less than 10. And then I can just retire and do anything I want. Right. So I think
which is a little bit of a scarcity mindset and sounds pretty miserable and hard to stick with for a few years for a lot of people.
So that ties back to the lesson I learned. You don't have to be financially independent to live your best life. With a good financial plan and a solid financial foundation, you could live your best life already today at this moment. Because think about it, our experience of life is very subjective, and we are in control. It's very spiritual, but just sit with it.
Yes, for sure. It's a little bit of a Western culture problem right now, that many people are very reactive. Maybe they're the whole victim mindset. This happened to me, instead of embracing it, that this happened for me, right? And empowering yourself and taking control and responsibility for your situation and your options in your future is a much better viewpoint.
It's scary and totally like full of uncertainties.
Yes.
So it's not easy. No. Back to, why it's important to have coaches. Why is it important to take time and really design your life, right?
Yep.
If you don't do it, I don't think my life before designing my real passion, even though I was like trying to dabble into different areas through part-time jobs and all that, side gigs, wasn't really fulfilling. It was just in the past year that I achieved incredible amount of personal growth and clarity towards my meaning and purpose in life.
Right. I think that's where it starts, right? That's sort of paramount, is figuring out what you want. Because how are you going to get it if you don't know what it is, right? That's clarity. And so any advice for that, for people starting out, first steps?
Oh, absolutely. Like, try to control the things you can control. Typically, it's how much you make to some extent, right? If you work really hard and try to take more responsibilities and work better with your colleagues, then most likely you'll get a promotion and increase in salary because you are more valuable to the organization. And second, more important than income is how much you spend. So I'm like a big advocate for saving with passion, but spending without regret.
Sure, I like that.
Meaning just spend on the things that's so important to you that you cannot live without, and be okay if it's over budget. However, save on the things that it's mindless spending, right?
Right.
And that's the core of financial well-being. And then added to that, all the bells and whistles, max out your 401k as best you can and keep buying, index funds or balanced portfolio. and mind the expense ratios versus the long-term return.
Right.
It's just yesterday, I was reviewing a portfolio for a client, and she had been investing in a target fund, which is the default for 401k plans these days.
Okay.
And the long-term average return per year was 6.4. Compare it with a large cap index fund, 12, right? 12 point something %.
Right.
And the expense ratio for the target fund was 18 basis point. And the large cap index fund was 1 basis point. There you go.
Right.
Not to mention, she had a brokerage account with T. Rowe Price in what she thought was an index fund, but actually a mutual fund that charged 0.8% every year and has been underperforming.
Sure.
So that's the next step.
Right. So it's got to be incredibly rewarding to have impact on other people in their life. Do you work with people all over? Are they mostly local here in Phoenix now?
I work with people nationwide.
Okay.
Yeah, but mostly I'm getting a lot of tractions among foreign-born professionals and small business owners, just because of my personal experience.
Okay. And if people would like to connect with you, what should they do?
Connect me on LinkedIn or follow me on LinkedIn. It's Prudence Zhu, CPA/PFS, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you are really interested in having a chat, I have a Calendly link which I can provide to you, and you can just book time.
Okay. And can you tell us your YouTube channel again? Name?
Yeah, it's Invest with Prudence. So
all right, that's a great name.
Play of words, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Prudence. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. We appreciate your sharing your story and your insights into life planning and success. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.